So unfortunately, this is going to be one of those videos that probably leaves me with more questions than answers when we're all done, but I think we are finally able to see a well-established pattern here, even though this isn't going to be like some massive expose where there's some big, aha, gotcha, you know, we still are going to have a lot of questions when this is all said and done, but I think it's important to point out and notice the patterns that we are now seeing that connect all of these pieces that are in play. So, of course, the catalyst was Sweet Baby Inc., the consultation, diversity, and inclusion initiatives, the terrible writing in the games, the injected diversity, and the race swapping. Okay, that was the catalyst. That's what drove all this to where we are. But think about this. Go back to this tweet here from Neon talking about how in 1993 to 1994, they had U.S. Senate hearings on video games talking about how video games were believed to create violent children, that they believed it would cause real-world violence. And there are many studies that have since disproven this, but this was the U.S. government meddling in the content in video games. That's why they actually established the Entertainment Software Ratings Board. So before 1994, we didn't have that. So now today we are seeing that the feds are trying to target gamers for spreading disinformation. They're trying to target them, the DHS, the FBI, are working with companies like Roblox, Discord, Reddit, to go after gamers for extremism. They honestly believe this whole gamers to extremist pipeline that they talk about, like how Gamergate caused January 6th, or Gamergate caused some, violent event over in New Zealand. They're trying to pin it on that with zero proof, but this is the story they're going with, okay? So then you have things like Call of Duty, very famously a couple of years ago or last year, talking about how they're using voice chat monitoring essentially to curtail naughty talk online, trying to keep people from being toxic and trash talking in a lobby that is well known for how volatile it can be, okay? You have the ADL coming out, talking about how they need to police digital spaces, how they need to start actually stopping extreme radicalization in these spaces, and they are pushing for more government overreach to monitor people online. Some bitch I know on Twitter, that's actually her username, she's awesome, that's not me calling her that, don't worry, pointed out that the GGWP is essentially a anti-toxicity platform that is trusted by Riot Games, Unity, Sony, Tencent, Sandbox, the list goes on and on and on. And essentially what it is a AI monitoring hate speech platform that also establishes essentially a social credit score system for gamers. I am not even kidding. An article that I saw pointed out today by James Lindsay from Footprint talking about how there are green nudges for gamers, and this is from 4 years ago. Basically talking about how putting green options in The Sims is going to teach people to be more eco-friendly. I am not kidding. Savvy Artist on Twitter pointed out that the government of Canada announced funding to study potential for radicalization to video games or violence across gaming platforms. And this is from March 13th, 2024 here, so just a few days ago. Basically, the Take This org, which is I assume nonprofit, got $300,000 of funding from the Canadian government, from the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, to fund studies about extremism and violence in gaming. So basically, when the government says, here's some money, go find this, they're going to find it whether or not there's any real actual facts or not. That's the way these things work. And of course, the one in charge of this organization, Rachel Cowart, I think her name is, her posts are protected on Twitter, so there ain't no way you're going to see her posts. Same person, Savvy Artist, pointed out that the Extremism Gaming Research Network was founded by some of the people that were part of this $300,000 study that's being funded by the Canadian government. And that is the, let's see here, where are we at? The Extremism and Gaming Research Network. Now, the funny thing is, Cabrutus, the one who started the Sweet Baby Inc. Detected Steam page, pointed out that there's two different links here. There's one that's archived and one that's from their website, the Extremism Gaming Org members. If you just click on this link here, it says error 404, page not found. When you go to the archived link, you can actually see all of the members. And unfortunately, it's kind of hard to see on here. But this is really huge because here she is, Rachel Cowart, and a whole bunch of other people who are all trusted with basically monitoring everything you say and do online. And this is a big push we've seen in the Western world. Canada, US, the UK, and Australia are four of the countries that have the worst time, in my personal opinion, based on what I've seen, infringing on the online speech and free speech of their citizens, as well as spying on them. And I pointed out before, this Canadian Centre for Diversity and Inclusion is funded by many of these large banks in Canada, and they're one of the ones in Canada who pump up this diversity and inclusion initiative, which is again reinforced by the Canadian government. And ironically, Canada has a real bad time with a lot of the wokeism in gaming and a lot of the studios. In fact, if you just look at game studios in Canada, there are so many of them, and apparently a lot of the reason for this is because the tax write-offs in Canada are far better than the US, apparently. But if you just Google top game studios in Canada, huge studios, Behavior Interactive, Hothead, which is actually part of Compulsion. You got BioWare, you've got Ubisoft, Montreal is a huge one, okay? Bethesda. And again, yes, some of these like Electronic Arts, they have, they are located in both the US and Canada. They have studios in both. But the reality is that they exist in Canada, and the entire Western world is feeding into this, trying to cut down on toxic speech, toxic, racist, sexist, misogynist rhetoric by forcing this diversity initiative into the games, intentionally provoking a response. And now you have the government spying on people because of it. It's literally them creating a controversy so they can continue to take further rights away from their citizens. And of course, you have someone like Anita Sarkeesian, who also happens to be Canadian. Shocker, right? All of this goes back in a lot of ways to companies like Valnet, who, again, also located in Canada, I'm not even kidding, owns several of these websites like GameRant, CBR, not SBR, Screen Rant, Comic Book Resources, Collider, again, GameRant, The Gamer. And if you go to these websites like The Gamer, they are the ones out here defending companies like Sweet Baby Inc. It all loops back to the initial controversy. You've got websites like Kotaku defending Sweet Baby Inc. and the diversity initiatives and all that. And don't forget, Kotaku is the one that had several people 10 years ago who were associated with running cover for Zoe Quinn and trying to do their best to prop her up. Oh, and of course, we've seen in the last several years, the UK, Canada, I believe Australia as well, put these online safety bills together basically to keep people safe online, but all it does is it puts a target on your back if you say something they don't like. And again, Kotaku, also based in Canada. Oh, sorry, not Canada, Australia. My bad. So this one, Australians, this is on you guys. Critical Distance, a website that was started years ago, played a massive part in Gamergate. People who have gone on from there have gone on to other websites, much like how Nathan Grayson has gone on from Kotaku to where he started Aftermath, another website. So these people who initially were in Gamergate from the get-go, these people that had an effect in running cover for the awful people who said they were being harassed, even though really it was hearsay. This pattern is continuing. It's this vicious cycle, and now you have the government involved in this massive, I dare say, conspiracy where you have the media, the game consultants, and the governments working together to create this controversy so that the government can step in and say, okay, you poor developer over here, you poor consultant over here, or the media over here being dogpiled by people online, we need to protect you from these radical, extreme people who are just fed up with your crap. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a controversy so that people lash out, and then we're going to step in and say, see, this is the extremism that we're trying to stop. Don't forget, Breitbart has this article from 10 years ago where these journalists had inside messaging back and forth between different journalists at different places saying how they needed to try to protect Zoe Quinn. Protect her. Not report on her, not talk about what was actually going on, but protect her from people. So this is just, once you start connecting the dots, this is massive. And I know that there's no definitive, got you in this moment where there's like, I can point to one thing and say, see, this is the cause of all of it. But if you look at the big picture of all these things intersecting, this is massive. And this is going to get so much worse, I'm afraid. So just be careful with what you say. I'm not saying that to let up on these people. I'm just saying be aware that there is a motive behind this that is not innocent by any stretch of the imagination. These people they know what they're doing and they have very ill intent. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching the video. We do have 2 channels, one for daily uploads, the other one for more of my live streams and hot takes. Links to both are down below, as well as the ability to join as a channel member for as little as $3 a month, and that'll greatly help us out. Much appreciated. We also have links to our Etsy accounts down below, as well as our website. We also have locals and Subscribestar. If you didn't want to support us on YouTube, you can support us through those. Thanks again for being here, and we will see you on the next one.